Good morning, sports fans. You're in the Cheap Seats with Scott Kirby and Jon Oliver. Phone number 737-3791 if you'd like to call in and talk about, some sports happenings going on around the nation. I know we just gave away some Bloomington Edge tickets for last night's game. So if any of the listeners are tuned in right now, maybe call in, tell us how that went. I know I took Bryson last Friday. It was a good time. So Bloomington Edge, a indoor football league there in Bloomington, Illinois. They play at the Cellular Coliseum. That's a good time. Final Four talk, John. I see you're a Duke fan. You got a Duke shirt on. They weren't in the Final Four.
Nope.
And just lost their assistant coach, Chris Collins, went to Northwestern. He's been with Duke for a long time. Played at Duke, was Coach K's assistant. What are your thoughts on him leaving, and what kind of job do you think he'll do at Northwestern University?
Well, it's interesting because he is from the Chicago area, and so that's cool to see him go back up there to Chicago's Big Ten school, which people down in this region of Illinois think that Illinois is the Chicago college up there, but it's actually Northwestern. You'll see that on the billboard. So it's just cool to see him go back to his home ground and just try to do something with Northwestern. Never made the big dance ever. So anything that he does, people are probably going to consider an improvement. Their last coach I feel like he was pretty successful. He did good things for Northwestern, but he just didn't get him over that hump. And I think what Chris Collins brings with that Coach K work ethic and such, I think that he'll be successful. Maybe not the first couple of years, but maybe if he starts rounding out those Chicago recruits, I think they have a chance to be successful in the Big Ten.
Yeah, Chris Collins been around basketball all of his life. Obviously, his dad, Doug Collins, has been a coach for several years. Chicago Bulls. I think he's with the Sixers right now.
Yeah.
And coaching with the Sixers. So a lot of the talk was, well, maybe he's going to take his dad with him and be a bench coach. But, that's probably not something you want to do, because you want people to know that you're the big dog there, and you don't want your dad in the shadows, kind of running things. So we'll see how that goes. Good luck to him. Northwestern, a program that very desperate in changing around, their program. I know their football football program's on the up, and so now they want to do that to their basketball team. Their main goal is to make the tournament, the NCAA tournament, which they failed to do the past, I don't know how many years, but good luck to them. Final Four talk, probably one of the best games I've ever seen, the championship game. Saturday night you had Louisville, Wichita State, which I thought Wichita State held their own. I didn't think it would be that close. But Wichita State, a very good team, and they'll be good for the next several years because that's a young team, so look for them.
Right, and Wichita State, everybody was not favoring them, rooting for them.
Right.
Missouri Valley Conference school. But, they had that 12-point lead in the second half, and I really thought that they were hitting their shots, running their offense well, and Louisville just showed resilience the entire tournament, I felt. Blew Duke out of the water. And the Elite Eight game, especially after that kind of like influential scene when Kevin Ware went down.
Yeah.
That was an ugly thing. And but Wichita State, good run. I really thought they could have came out with a championship appearance. It's not unlikely to see these mid-majors because Butler's done it twice, and you see VCU is always in the mix for a Final Four run. So I'm not totally surprised that Wichita State made this run. I had them beating Gonzaga early, so I'm very impressed with Wichita State, but not surprised though.
Right, and another game Saturday night, Michigan, Syracuse, another good game. Just all around the whole weekend, it was great basketball. And then you get to the championship game Monday night. You have Louisville and Michigan. Probably one of the best basketball games I've seen in a really long time. Up and down the court, a lot of scoring. And once again, Louisville's down. And what they do, they make a comeback.
Right, and Michigan had that Spike kid just hitting threes. I don't think he missed 1 3 all tournament, I believe. And,
no, he had 17 points first half.
Yeah, and I don't think he scored in the second half.
No.
But then you had Luke Hancock for Louisville, a kid who was stepping up for them when they were down and hitting big shots. Hit 4 3-pointers in a row when they were down by I think almost double digits.
Yeah,
for sure.
they're down by 13, I think.
Yeah, and then
he comes and hits 4 3-pointers, and they're down by 1 at half.
Yeah, so he got most outstanding player, and that's something I didn't really predict because of all the star power Louisville had with Dieng down low in the post, and then you had Peyton Siva and Russ Smith, who was averaging 26 points, I believe, going into the championship game. So, it's cool to see somebody that didn't have star power win that award because, he came up big for him when it counted.
Right, and you talk about Spike, we'll call him Spike from Michigan. Trey Burke gets in foul trouble, has to go to the bench early. Well, not real early, I guess, the first half, but he sets for a great deal the first half with 2 fouls, and, this Spike comes in, 17 points, first half.
Right.
It just takes Louisville by surprise. I don't know if they didn't, game plan it. Obviously, he didn't play much the whole year because he's playing behind Trey Burke, the, National Player of the Year. But, he really sparked Michigan, and, Louisville shut him down the second half and just took over. And, very impressive. They were playing with a lot of emotion, because of the injury. The man I still see, and that was gruesome, but he's doing good now. So congratulations to Louisville, national champions. My son, he had Louisville winning it all, which a lot of people did, but he was happy they won. So a great tournament. So basketball is now over, except for the NBA, which we can talk a little bit about. Bulls, I follow the Bulls a little bit. They're, without Derrick Rose, they're a good team, but they're not a championship team when you compete with the Heat and other teams like that. Oklahoma City Bulls are 43-36 on the season. They just lost last night to Toronto, and the Bulls they're streak killers. They played Miami Heat a couple weeks ago. They're on a 27-game win streak. The Bulls beat them. They played New York Knicks the other night. They're on a 16 or 17 game winning streak?
I think it was 13.
13, okay.
Something like that.
I was just trying to up it up a little bit before I make it sound a little better. And they beat them, and then they play a Toronto team and lose to them. So just an up and down team. Without Derrick Rose, it's hard to get over that hump.
Right.
They got Nate Robinson, who's a scorer, but he's only like 5'6", and he's either hot or cold. And the other night he had 35 points against New York, which helped him with the victory. You say you watch a lot of NBA, and I don't really. I watch the Bulls every now and then, but what's your take on the season? And, the big story happening today, Kobe Bryant might be out for the year with a torn Achilles.
Right, and just going back to the Bulls real quick, it shows that Derrick Rose is important to this franchise because when he's playing healthy, we've been the best team in the East 2 years in a row. But, after he went down against the Sixers in the first round, when Philly made that prominent run, it was pretty short after they met up with the Heat. But, it just shows that he's an MVP, he's young. Why he was in that Sixers game after we were up 20 in the first game of that playoffs is beyond me. Coach Thibodeau, he's great. He's a great work ethic, and I thought he had a better mentality of, you're up by 20, just sit your best player, so nothing like that happened. And that's what happened. So, it just goes to show what just something out of the blue can do to your team. But I like what the Bulls are doing right now. They're very team-oriented. You don't really see that with other professional teams like the Heat, where you got 3 superstars and then you don't know who the rest of the team is really. And then, I just love how team-oriented they are with Joakim Noah being out. Luol Deng sits every now and then. So it's great what they're doing. I like Nate Robinson, the young guy, or the little guy, not young. He's not very young. But he's just coming in, scores 35 off the bench to beat the Knicks and kill their streak. We have the Knicks number, but we have problems with the Raptors. It's a little head scratching.
It's all about matchups.
Right.
And you're talking about people being hurt, Joakim Noah. The minutes that these guys are playing, and Tibbs has to do it because he doesn't trust his bench, and they're still fighting for the playoff spot. They're getting a lot of minutes, and that's really taking a toll on their body, and that's why you're going to see a lot of these injuries. So, and just don't really have much choice when your bench isn't that deep, because of injury. So looking for Derrick Rose to come back. It's all up to him now. He's not ruling out this year. Maybe playoff start. He'll be in that lineup, but it's going to take him. You would think it would take him a little while to get back up to game speed. So will that hurt the Bulls, or is that going to give him a little spark?
Yeah, well, I really think it's all in Derrick Rose's head. He doesn't want to. He probably sees that play that he did that hurt his Achilles or ACL. He probably thinks about that a lot, especially when he gets back on the floor. But as far as his condition, like getting back in shape and all, I think that he's got a good staff over there in Chicago. He's got professionals helping him. So nevertheless, Bulls fans and the Bulls players and the organization want to see him get on the floor, but we want to have him 100%. So it's a little in the gray area, but we'll see what can happen. I trust the Bulls team. Like you said, they're not really a championship caliber team without him, but they've got a playoff spot already. We're just trying to see where we finish in the standings to who we face. Right now we are looking at Indiana in the playoffs, who have our number this year. So it's going to be interesting to see what these players like Nate Robinson can do, and we're still bringing in players. We just signed a guy for maybe a 2-week contract, so it's going to be interesting. We have Carlos Boozer still. Luol Deng's healthy again. If we get Joakim Noah, we can play pretty good defense, and man, like you said, also it's all about matchups. So it's just going to see what it comes out to in the playoffs.
And one matchup that's not going to be there for the rest of the season, that's the Lakers matching up with anybody, because they're not going to have their superstar Kobe Bryant. And that's just very detrimental to that team, because he's the leader. He is the Lakers, and with him going down, it looks like with an Achilles tear. He's getting an MRI today, but from his interview last night, it's not sounding good at all for the Lakers. So Dwight Howard, Steve Nash, they're going to have to step it up. Gasol, they're going to have to step up their game, because they're not going to have their go-to guy now. And playoffs are later this month, right around the corner. And I'm looking at the time. We got about a minute left, John, and we didn't talk any NFL, which we're going to have to put that on our, priority list next week.
Right.
Because you always have to talk about NFL. The draft coming up, we'll go over a lot of that next week. NFL draft, April 25th. So next week's show, we'll have a rundown on that. But we're out of time right now here on the Cheap Seats. John, I'd like to thank you for coming in. You did a great job. So hopefully, you'll be able to fill in the future here if you're available.
Thanks, Scott.
Just like to thank our sponsors and listeners for tuning in. Until next week, this is the Cheap Seats.